So I would say it started in high school. I was really good at math and science, and so my mom said, hey, you should look at engineering.
Now, growing up, I used to take apart everything. And my mom was like, why are you taking this apart? And I was more electrical. So I'd take a light apart if it's quit working and start working on it.
So in high school, I was always super interested in math and science, and that's just what I typically did well in. Engineering just seemed like it had a lot of options, once I got out of college.
When I was in high school, I always liked science and math. Those were always my favorite subjects. But there happened to be a job opening for an airport engineer when I graduated, and I was like, well, that sounds super cool. Let me try that, because how many people get to say they're an airport engineer?
Yeah, so I feel like the 2 internships really kind of helped me figure out that oh, this is something I could see myself doing after college, and especially working with the stormwater group in Raleigh. I felt super involved in the projects and oh, this is how I can make a difference.
So when I went to college, I was trying to figure out what kind of engineering discipline would kind of suit my desire for environmental protection. So I landed in civil engineering, and over the course of time, I found my path towards water pollution and wanting to find ways to prevent water pollution and have that be my way to make a difference.
For me, my favorite project is a pump station in Travelers Rest North, South Carolina. It's cool to see it come to life and being a part of that from pretty much the start all the way through construction.
I like things you can see. So I think the most memorable one is probably the Deep Point Marina parking lot for Bald Head Island. I think that is probably the most memorable just because you could see it, I could show people.
What's so neat is my very first stream that I ever built was Butterfly Branch, which is one of our streams.
I've worked on a lot of cool projects, I think. I think some of my favorites have been actually not even at our biggest airports, but at some of our small airports where we've totally shut down an airport and rebuilt their runway.
A lot of it has to do with satisfied clients. I really like to be part of the solution and see the things that I work on every day actually come to fruition and make other people's lives easier.
I am in the right position to save the planet, one stream at a time.
The most work that I do is getting water to people and taking wastewater away from the people, and then keeping the floods away from eating away the roads and everything. Kind of makes me feel happy that I am helping the community to keep it safer and smoother, so that gets me going.
I think my favorite thing would just be how diverse it can be. And so I'm constantly learning new things and trying new things, and I think that's probably the best thing about engineering.
I mean, engineering is definitely a cool field. You can, kind of help a lot of people in engineering. People always think of doctors helping people or teachers helping people, but I think in engineering you do that too, because you're kind of building all the things, all the infrastructure that people need for their everyday lives.
If I have to pick one person, it will be my manager, Trey Wingate. He's the most patient person I have ever seen. He is good with young engineers. He shares a lot of his wisdom and knowledge, and I hope I do that someday with my fellow young engineers too.
My mom really inspires me in terms of just workforce etiquette or drive in general.
I think I'm most inspired by other women in the industry that are just excelling in the field and making a name for themselves. They're coming in and competing with men in a male-dominated field, and they're crushing it.
In general, I think it's challenging being an engineer because you're trying to solve a problem, and we've used math and science as our foundation for solving that problem, and we want to calculate a right answer. But in engineering, a lot of it really has to be about creativity. It has to be about maybe a different solution, and there's not always one correct answer.
But I think the biggest challenge is just it takes time to work through different scenarios and figure out different options. If you go to a college that has, or a university that has, a lot of different engineering options, explore them.
And so if you're thinking about going into engineering, kind of decide from the beginning, kind of the way you want to go. You'll get pushed to where you really want to go, but just starting out, just take the basics and learn as much of it as you can.
If they're interested at all in it, to try the internships.
Don't think about what the naysayers say about you going into a male-dominated field. Just stick with it, persevere, and try to find some mentors that will really kind of help you along the way.
The most important thing that I would like to see young women do is come in and show your passion and show your emotion. That passion and that emotion brings something to the engineering field that I think is powerful. And so if more women said, it's okay, you should share that passion, bring that emotion with you to solve a problem, to connect with a client, to connect with the community that you're solving a problem for, that can be a game changer for the field in general and certainly for women in engineering.